Now that's super glued on, so it'll come off in a pretty good chunk. There we go. So nice, neat removal of the hair. You don't see any bump there, and that's really difficult to do with a pair of scissors, so thank you, Yuri. Alright, now I want to add a little bit of flash here, and so what I'm going to use here is angel hair, and this is it's called black red, and as you can see in the camera there, it's got quite a nice coloration to it. This is going to be a black muddler. So we're going to have black marabou in the wing, so I want to accent that, and what I'm going to do is take some of this black and red crystal or angel hair. I'm going to simply go from underneath and bring it up under my thread, up onto the top of the fly, let the trailing edge hang back. Now what I'm going to do is take a couple of wraps here to anchor this in place. And that's all you need. Take the front, fold it back and over, make sure you get all the strays. A couple of wraps, that's locked in tight. Alright, now you want to taperize that wing, and the best way to do that is just simply take your scissors, open them slightly, and push back and across as you move backwards in a rearward direction. And there's a nice taperization to it without being blunt cut. Alright, next thing we want to do is pick a piece of marabou, and when you're using marabou for a wing, you want the most supple and thinnest stem marabou you can get your hands on. Like here's an example of a very bad one for a wing. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a very thick stem here. That one will not make a very good wing. There, I'll expose it a bit. It's very thick. It won't have any movement in the water. What you want is a marabou plume known as a blood marabou, and I've picked one out ahead of time here, and as you can see, that marabou has got a lot of action to it. So what I'm going to do is find the stem, and on this one it's very, very thin. And I'm just going to peel back as I would a hackle, preparing a hackle for tying. And I'm just going to peel that back until I get down to the stem and gauge what I'm going to need for that wing, and that's just about right. So marabou is a real flyaway material. Simply wet your fingers with a little bit of saliva. If you're going to be tying a lot of these flies, I would strongly suggest that you get yourself a little dish of water beside you, because as you can see, that dye will come off. And if I was tying up a dozen or so of these flies, I certainly wouldn't want to be ingesting all that dye at any rate. Okay, so there's your wing. And again, you want it to come to just about just past that under wing, so the wing's slightly longer than that. Loose wrap, so we're coming down on top of it. When you're wrapping, when you're tying in materials, try not to wrap one wrap on top of the other. It does not secure it any better. You want to wrap contiguous, so your wraps move forward or backwards, but make it contiguous. Alright, now again, I'm going to go in with the scalpel here and cut ahead of my thread here. Hopefully I can do this without cutting the thread. And if I did happen to cut the thread, well, I'd go back in and refasten it. There we go. Nice and neat. You can lash these down, these ends. Alright, beautiful. Okay, now I'm going to finish off that wing with a little bit more of the angel hair. So I'm just going to pull it out. There's no real measurement as to what you use, just what looks good to your eye. Remember, you can always take off or cut or trim off what you put on, but you can't take off, or add on rather, what you haven't got there. So a couple of wraps to secure it, double it back over, make sure it's even across the top of the fly. Looks good there. Alright, again, taperize it. Now I want to go a little further this time than I did last time, so I'm going to be cutting out here. Loose ones here. Alright, so we've got a pretty nice fly shaping up here. Now what I want to do is I'm going to introduce you to spinning deer hair. Now when you're spinning deer hair, a couple things to keep in mind. When you're spinning hair, you want to tie on as bare a shank as you possibly can. And when you spin deer hair, spinning on a bare shank will just assist you in actually spinning the hair around the shaft of the hook, or in this case the tube. But what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to switch threads, and I'm going over now to a Danville 3/0 instead of a 6/0. I'm not worried about bulk here, so